Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe SOC Level 1 Learning Path, Endpoint Security Monitoring Module, and this is the Wazuh room. Wazuh is a free, open source, and enterprise-ready security monitoring solution for threat detection, integrity monitoring. So there's quite a few items we're going to cover inside of here. Of course, introduction, we deploy the Wazuh server, look at some Wazuh agents, vulnerability assessment and security events, policy auditing, logons with Wazuh, Windows logs with Wazuh, Linux logs, the commands on Linux with Wazuh, Wazuh API, generating reports with Wazuh, and loading sample data. So this is also a free room, so you can tag along with TryHackMe if you have an account there. If not, then you can just go ahead and just take notes, which I encourage everybody to take notes. Anyway, hopefully I'll have an awesome day today and ready to learn something. So before we get into it, if you want to support the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Now let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1, Introduction. Welcome to a room showcasing the capabilities of the Wazuh EDR, which is Endpoint Detection and Response software solution. In this room, you can expect to learn the following things. What is an EDR and why are they useful solutions? Where an EDR like Wazuh is used, accessing Wazuh, navigating Wazuh, learning about Wazuh rules and alerts, digesting logs to view specific events on devices including Linux and Windows, how you can extend Wazuh using plugins and its API. Firstly, let's understand what EDR solutions are exactly. Endpoint detection and response are a series of tools and applications that monitor devices for an activity that could indicate a threat or security breach. These tools and applications have features that include the following: auditing a device for common vulnerabilities, proactively monitoring a device for suspicious activity, such as unauthorized logins, brute force attacks, or privilege escalations, visualizing complex data and events into neat and trendy graphs, recording a device's normal operating behavior to help with detecting anomalies. Created in 2015, Wazuh is an open source, freely available, and extensive EDR solution. It can be used in all scales of environments. Wazuh operates on a management and agent module. Simply, a device is dedicated to running Wazuh, named a manager, where Wazuh operates on a management and agent model, where the manager is responsible for managing agents installed on devices you like to monitor. Let's look at the model in the diagram below here, and here's the diagram. Okay, well, this is a better view here. It says we can see logs from 3 agents being sent to the Wazuh server. So it's kind of similar to, from what they described here, kind of like a SIEM. You know, with a SIEM, you're going to be collecting logs or ingesting logs from various different data sources, what have you, right? Well, in this instance, as an EDR, you're going to have these agents deployed on each individual endpoints. And then from there, they're going to send that information via these logs into the EDR, which appears to be which is Wazuh actually here, the Wazuh server. So let's see here. Question time. Where or when was Wazuh released? I think what they said, yeah, 2015 up there. So let's go and plug that in real quick. 2015. What is the term that Wazuh calls a device that is being monitored for suspicious activity and potential security threats? And we can go back up here and see what they're called here. And this should be agent. I believe that's what they call them. And lastly, what is the term for a device that is responsible for managing these devices? And that was I believe they called it the manager, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that should be it, the manager. Okay, I mean, typically with this, like the device that is being monitored for suspicious activity, this sounds to me like an endpoint, right? Like an actual Windows or Linux box or a Mac box. In this particular instance, they're talking about agents. I think it could have been worded a little bit better. Like, what is the application or device that is on the endpoint that is being monitored? Then that would be the agent. But anyway, task number 2 here: required deploy Wazuh server. Connect to the TryHackMe network and deploy the Wazuh management server attached to this task. Wait 5 minutes, which I've already started here, and this is where I'm going to go to get to it. So I'm going to click on it, get it ready to go. If you load the Wazuh management server too early, it'll say Kibana server is not ready. Please wait a few more minutes. Once it's started, log into with the following credentials, Wazuh, and then there's the password there. So I'm going to copy this here. And this is all lowercase, so make sure we take note of that. Select global tenants. After successfully logging in, refer to the animated GIF below of the process if you are stuck. So here's an example of what they look like when you log it in. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. Okay, I think we get the gist of it there. So the questions within this task of this room will expect the data stored on the Wazuh management server. So it is vital that you are able to connect to the server for continuing the Wazuh management server. And this room will show the agents as being disconnected. This is expected. And it says log into the Wazuh management server before proceeding with the room's task. So let's flip over here. And site can't be reached. So let's refresh here and see. Okay, I'm going to let it run and see if it'll spin up here in a minute. So I'm just going to hit complete here, and then I'll fast forward the video. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Okay, it's loaded up, but make sure to pay attention here because it says connect to the TryHackMe network and deploy the Wazuh agent. Now with here, you have to click on this connect here and it'll take you to some options to access the TryHackMe network. So you can do it via VPN or you can just do it via the target or the attack box. Okay, so I'm using it in the attack box. I wish it would just say that on here. That's a little confusion there. But anyway, figure it out. So now we're going to log into it on the attack box here in the browser. All right, so I'm just going to hit save. And it's loading up here, so let's go ahead and continue on. And we're seeing similar things as this image here. So once it's finished loading up, we'll go back to the machine here. But let's continue on with this next task here. And task number 3, Wazuh agents. Devices that record the events and processes of a system are called agents. Agents monitor the processes and events that take place on the device, such as authentication and user management. Agents will offload these logs to a designated collector for processing, such as Wazuh. In order for Wazuh to be populated, agents need to be installed onto devices to log such events. Wazuh can guide you through the agent deployment process, provided you fill out some prerequisites such as the following: operating system, the address of the Wazuh server that the agent should send logs to. This can be a DNS entry or IP address. What group the agent will be under. You can sort agents into groups within Wazuh if you wish. This wizard can be launched by navigating to the location on the Wazuh server. Wazuh agents deploy new agent as illustrated in the screenshot below here. And let's see what's going on with this. Okay, so let's see here. We need to click this drop down and we should see agents somewhere in here. This looks different. Let's see here. Okay, well, let's just click this and see where it goes to. Okay, this looks like the correct location. And we see some data in here already for these agents. Once you navigate to this display, the intuitive wizard will be available to you. I have shared screenshots of using the wizard to install Wazuh's agent on both Windows and Debian/Ubuntu. At stage 4, you are given a command to copy and paste to your clipboard, which will install and configure the agent on the device that you wish to collect logs from. Okay, it's pretty neat there. Okay, so let's see. So there's all different kinds of options you can play around with in here, apparently. If you click the hamburger icon, there's other stuff in here. So let's just go back to this one here, this Dropbox. And there should have been a separate one in here. So it says modules here. Okay, I guess it automatically goes into, yeah, agents, and then I don't see this agent one. I guess it's here. Okay. Well, let's see here. It says deploy new agent. Let's just make this bigger real quick because this is kind of hard to read. So let me minimize this. Okay, let's expand this. All right, there we go. Deploy new agent. Okay, so you get this little wizard here that they're talking about. Some options there. And let's see here. They just put in an example data, I guess. Wazuh.thm default, 8 for the group, and then install and roll the agent. And this, you'll also see this for other EDR tools as well, like CrowdStrike has something like this. It'll give you some kind of PowerShell, commands or whatever to use to basically get the agent onto the machine. Installing the Wazuh agent on Debian/Ubuntu, so it's pretty much straightforward here as well. Select operating system, architecture, server address, assign it to a group, and then it gives you the information to install it there. So they're using curl right there. Okay, questions here. Ensure you're logged into Wazuh, which we are. Navigate to agents by doing Wazuh agents, which we just did. How many agents did the server manage? It had 2 in there for hours. And what are the status of the agents managed by the Wazuh server? So let's take a look here and let's get out of this wizard and take a look. It says disconnected for the agents. So let's go ahead and plug that in as our answer. Okay. Task number 4, Wazuh vulnerability assessment and security events. So let's see what they're talking about here. The vulnerability assessment module is a powerful tool that can be used to periodically scan an agent's operating system for installed applications and their version numbers. Once this information has been gathered, it is sent back to Wazuh server and compared against a database of CVEs to discover potential vulnerabilities. For example, the agent in the screenshot below has a version of Vim that is vulnerable to CVE 2019 12735. And here's an example of what that information looks like here. So that's pretty neat there. So a bonus of this, it does a vulnerability assessment for your endpoints, and it can give you some valuable information that, hey, there's a CV out here that this is vulnerable to. You may need to look into this and get it patched or get it remediated. The vulnerability scanner module will perform a full scan when Wazuh agent is first installed on a device and must be configured to run at a set interval. Then after, by default, this is set to 5-minute intervals when enabled, like so. So it looks like this. It's something similar with other actual vulnerability management solutions out there. They'll have like their little agents, whatever they want to call them, and you install those onto endpoints, and it'll do the same thing pretty much. As soon as you install it, it'll do a little vulnerability scan and then send that back over to the vulnerability management server or system, what have you. So this is pretty neat. That has this feature inside of here. It says configuring the Wazuh management server to audit agents for vulnerabilities. Frequently, var assec, etc. osec.conf. Wazuh is capable of testing an agent's configuration against certain rule sets to check for compliance. However, out of the box it is arguably sensitive. Take, for example, the Linux host running the Wazuh agent. There have been a total of 769 events occurring that the system performs as part of its daily maintenance. And here's a image of what that looks like there. Okay. These frequent actions, such as removing files, are often detected as a security event. These events and the related severities are determined by Wazuh's rule sets, which is something that we will on to explore adjusting in another task. We can analyze these events individually by selecting the events dropdown. You can sort events based upon various factors such as timestamp, tactics, or description. Here's a GIF of what this looks like here. Well, another neat feature that it does here, and that you can also edit to your liking. So question time here. Ensure that you're logged into Wazuh, which we are. Navigate to Wazuh agents, which we did. Select agent named agent-001. So let's do that here. So we're agents, and then we select agent 001, which is this here. Okay, and then see the next step is how many security events alerts have been generated by agent 001. You will need to make sure that your time range includes the 11th of March 2022. So March 11th, 2022. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here. And I'm assuming we need to change this. And let's see. There's no custom date for this that you can edit somewhere. Let's see. Okay, well, let's go to security events first. Maybe it'll do it here. Okay, there we go. And then now we can go and change this to, okay, yeah, previous time limit window, next time window. Okay, that's neat. And let's see what we can find out here. If we can adjust this. Okay, so let's just click on this. Okay, I guess you can do it manually here. That's interesting. So when you go back to, I said March 11th, 2022, right? So let's see here, 11th. And then we just change the date right here. Can we just change the date? No, we can't. Okay, let's just click this. Okay, and then let's just, I guess, zero this out. I don't think it gave us a time, did it? Let's see. No, it didn't. So it's just that full day, I guess. And then let's change this back to March 11th and then 2022. And then we'll just change this to, I guess, 2359. Okay, so let's update this. Since there are no results for the selected time range, select another one. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with this room. I tried restarting and terminating the VM multiple times. Still, there's no results for this here, so I'm just going to skip it for now. If anything, probably just look up the answer, see what it is. But just let you know that for some reason it's not working for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Task number 5, Wazuh policy auditing. Wazuh is capable of auditing and monitoring an agent's configuration whilst practically recording event logs. When the Wazuh agent is installed, an audit is performed where a metric is given using multiple frameworks and legislations such as NIST, MITRE, and GDPR. For example, see how this agent ZC01 scores against MITRE, NIST, and SCA here. Something else that could be valuable for your particular use case. Okay, so that is good to know. I'm not sure if we have anything in ours, so but let's go ahead and check anyway. And we're going to get back to it. I believe it's under agents. And we only have 2 in here, so let's click on this DC one. See if there's anything here. Okay, so we have this SCA scan here. Let's see what area they were in again. Yeah, okay, so it's just the dashboard area. And then I guess we have similar output here for the audit. So that's good to know there. And let's flip back over here. These frameworks are outlined in the pen testing fundamentals room, or you should check out my channel if you wish to learn more about them. Wazuh presents a broad illustration of the logs. We can use the visualizations to break down this data and explore it further. Let's do this with the same agent. For example, we'll see the benchmark for this domain controller running on a Windows server. Okay, so I guess you can see that in the screenshot here. Compliance, the drop down there. So let's take a look here. Okay, there's the benchmark for that. Let's go back. There's vulnerabilities, if there's anything in here. Yeah, it's not going to give me anything. Okay, policy monitoring. All right, so let's go back up here. Ensure that you are logged into Wazuh on the managed server, which we are. Navigate to modules, policy reporting or monitoring, which we were just in here. Okay, and let's see. I guess we're done with that. We already just looked at everything, but there's nothing here, as you can see. Right, so hit refresh, nothing. All right, so I'm assuming there must be maybe that similar issues as the other module we had, but we saw other information here under this last scan, at least. All right, let's continue on. Task number 6, monitoring logons with Wazuh. Wazuh security event monitoring is capable to actively record both successful and unsuccessful authentication attempts. The rule with an ID of 5710 detects attempted connections. that are successful for the SSH protocol. Let's look at this in animated picture below. Okay, scroll down to it. Okay, brute force, and then you can see the rule ID there. Interesting. Okay, so I guess that's good to know. I think that's it for this. Okay. The alert was created because someone tried to log onto the agent, IP 10.10.73.118, with the user SIEM NATIC, which does not exist. I have summarized this alert into the following table below. So field value and description, agent IP address, IP address of the agent that the alert was triggered on, agent name, host name of the agent that was triggered on, role description, brief description of the event that was alerting to, rule MITRE technique. This explains the MITRE technique that pertains to rule ID for MITRE, and then you have the rule ID itself, which is 5710, and then location of the logs. Okay, so pretty much self-explanatory, I mean, or pretty straightforward at least. For reference, this alert is stored in a specific file on Wazuh management server at var OSSec logs alerts and alerts.log. We can use a command such as grep or nano to search through the file on the management server manually. So I guess we can try it and see if it exists on our system. Okay, so let's open up the terminal here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Paste. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm assuming it's probably in a different location in here. Looking at the animated GIF below, we can see Wazuh has created an alert for a successful login to a Windows server running the Wazuh agent. Because the attempt was successful, the severity of the alert is considered less than the unsuccessful login. This can, of course, be tailored to your environment. For example, if a user infrequently used is logged on, we can configure Wazuh to list this alert with higher severity. Okay, that's good to know there. If you want to take a closer look at this animated image here, we can see what they're talking about. So similar to what we just saw before, except it's a different, obviously it's a different alert. The animated GIF below shows the number of Windows agent events alerts triggered to show how many times the user logged on. In this case, it narrows down the total logon events of 285 to 200 or to 79. Okay, and we didn't see any security events on ours because it's like messed up or something. But we can see here what it looks like. That's good to know. 285. So I wonder if that's the answer to this other question here. Let's see. Let's go back up real quick. No. All right. Whatever. So let's go back to what we were looking at here. All right. So we need to, let's see. Okay, we already logged in. We need to go to administration, Wazuh administration. Get out of this here. Okay, where was this at? Management and administration. Okay, management, administration. Okay, and then where did they go to? Rules. Take a look there. And then let's see if they have, okay, all kinds of rules in there. Nice. So that's interesting. A ton of rules to look at. And we're pretty much done with that. I guess you can spend some time browsing through some of these rules there if you wanted to. Task number 7, collecting Windows logs with Wazuh. All sorts of actions and events are captured and recorded on a Windows operating system. This includes authentication attempts, networking connections, files that were accessed, and the behaviors of applications and services. This information is stored in the Windows events log using a tool called sysmon, which we know about already if you take a look at my video on sysmon. We can use the Wazuh agent to aggregate these events recorded by sysmon for processing to the Wazuh manager. Now we will need to configure both Wazuh agent and the sysmon application. Sysmon uses rules that are made in XML formatting to be triggered. For example, in the XML snippet below, we're telling sysmon to monitor for the events of the PowerShell.exe process starting. Okay, so we can see that here, process creation. Sysmon event ID 1 on match include contains PowerShell.exe, process create. You can see the rest here. Okay, so we get the gist of it if you go and check out my channel and look at the sysmon video there. To instruct sysmon to do, we need to execute the sysmon application and provide the aforementioned configuration file as so sysmon 64.exe septual dot or dash I detect underscore PowerShell.xml. So if you had this on a system, you would do this, right? Which we don't have from what I can see in this room. But yeah, so they're just basically telling you how to fire off this particular sysmon um, area here. Okay, so sysmon firing it off again against this XML file. Okay, comes back, tells you some other information about it. Sysmon started, so they're using that particular sysmon configuration file. We can verify that sysmon has accepted our configuration file by navigating to the event viewer and searching for the sysmon module like so. So it looks like this here. Microsoft information, sysmon. Yes, you will see this in that sysmon video as well, where to find these logs. So that's good to know there. Let's launch a PowerShell prompt on the Windows server and return to our event viewer. We can now see a record of PowerShell prompt being open and kept in the event viewer here. So we can see that these events here they're talking about. Okay. Now we will need to configure the Wazuh agent on this Windows server to instruct it to send these events to Wazuh Manager Server. To do so, we need to open the Wazuh agent file located at C Program Files, x86, OSEC, OSSEC agent, ossec.conf, and this is what the file looks like here. So I guess you plug in all the pertinent information to send these files to that Wazuh server, right? Pretty straightforward there. To include the following snippets. Okay, sysmon, interesting there, looking like so. So they just plugged it in down here. Now we need to restart the Wazuh agent. In this instance, I am restarting the operating system just to be sure that the changes have taken place. Okay, so just take a look at this real quick. All right, pretty straightforward so far. Once this is done, we need to tell the Wazuh management server to add sysmon as a rule to visualize these events. This can be done by adding an XML file to local rules located here at var ossec etc rules local rules.xml, configuring the Wazuh server to ingest sysmon events. All right. You will need to restart the Wazuh management server for this to apply. Once done, we can refer back to our Wazuh management server and notice that the data has been retrieved from an agent. All right, so question time. What is the name of the tool that we can use to monitor system events? They had mentioned sysmon, so that's probably what they're talking about here. If I can spell sysmon correctly. Okay. What standard application on Windows do these events get recorded into? Well, we know that's going to be Event Viewer. Okay, so that should be done with that one. And this is taking forever to take that response here. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on there. Task number 8, collecting Linux logs with Wazuh. So let's see what they're talking about here. Capturing logs from a Linux agent is a simple process similar to capturing events from a Windows agent. We will be using Wazuh's log collector service to create an entry on the agent to instruct what logs should be sent to the Wazuh management server. For example, in this task, we will be monitoring the logs of Apache 2 web server. To begin, let's configure the log collector service on a Linux server running the Wazuh agent. Wazuh comes with many rules that enable Wazuh to analyze log files and can be found in var ossec rule set rules. Some common applications include the following here. So you got Docker, FTP, WordPress, SQL Server, MongoDB, Firewalled, and many, many more, approximately 900. So that's very useful information to know. However, you can always make your own rules. In this task, Wazuh will digest Apache 2 logs under the 0250-Apache underscore rules.xml rule set. This rule set can analyze Apache 2 logs for warnings and error messages like so. We'll need to insert this into the Wazuh's agent that is sending logs to Wazuh management servers configuration file located at var ossec etc ossec.conf. And this is what it looks like here. var log example.log, syslog. We'll now need to restart the Linux agent running the Apache 2 service. Okay. Question time. What is the full path or full file path to the rules located on a Wazuh management server? And we found that up here that it's going to be located in var OSSec rule set rules. So go ahead and plug that in as our answer there. Task number 9, auditing commands on Linux with Wazuh. Wazuh utilizes audit-d package that can be installed on Wazuh agents running on Debian/Ubuntu and CentOS operating system. In this task, we will be using audit-d on Ubuntu system. Audit-d monitors the system for certain actions and events, and will write this to a log file. We can use the log collector module on a Wazuh agent to read the log file and send it to Wazuh management server for processing. First, we need to install the audit-d package and an audit-d plugin. This may already be installed in your system. However, let's install it to make sure. Let's run the command this here. So I'm going to copy and paste this over. It says to enable the servers to run currently as well on boot. You can do this here, systemctl enable audit-d.servers and sudo ctl start audit.servers. Okay, so let's do this first. And I already have a terminal pulled up here. So let's clear this out. Okay, so it's running. Let's just click yes. Should be installing. So let's get the next one ready to go here. So let's grab this first part. Okay, so it's installing. Okay, everything's done here. It downloaded or installed, and I went ahead and read those commands that they had said in the task there. So everything's should be good there. We will need to configure the audit-d to create a rule for the commands and events that we wish to monitor for. In this task, we'll be telling audit-d to monitor for any commands execute as root. You can extend this to monitor commands such as tcp dump, netcat, or catting files such as etc password or passwd, which are all hallmarks of a breach. Audit-d rules are located in the following directory: etc audit rules.d, audit.rules. We will be adding our rules manually. For this task, we will need to open the audit.rules file and append our rule ourselves. First, let's edit the file using sudo nano and then the location of these rules. And appending -a exit always -f arch equals 64, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Edit this rule here. Flip back over to our VM and just clear all this stuff out. I'm gonna paste. Okay, so first rule, and let's see here. Where did they put this at? Down at the bottom. Okay, so let's get this copied over. All right, so let's go ahead and navigate down here. Then paste. Okay, so it looks good to go there. We'll now need to inform audits on this new rule. So let's run the command here. So let's go ahead and save this first. So we get, yeah, okay, so that's good. And we're gonna run this command here. It's just to now read the new audit.rules file that we appended to in the previous task. Okay. All right. Now let's configure the system that is running a Wazuh agent that we wish to monitor these events on. We'll be monitoring a Linux host in this case. So like in our previous task, we will need to configure the Wazuh agent to detect this new log file that's generated by audit-d, like so, and add the audit-d log like so. All right, so let's do that here. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this over. All right. No such file or directory. Okay. That is weird. Is it not here? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there because it said it should be here. So let's try this again, I guess. I'm assuming maybe there's nothing here. I mean, we just tried to open this up and there's nothing there. So let's exit this. Hit no. Let's just do an ls. See what's there real quick. Yeah, there's nothing there. Okay. All right, let's try this again. See if this works. All right, so basically this is all I did was I created a directory called OSSec, and then inside there I created this one called Etsy, and then I did the sudo nano, and then created that conf file. So now everything should be good, right? Let us save at that time. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. And let's see. All right, questions. What application do we use on Linux to monitor events such as command execution? Well, we know that's going to be audit D. That's what we've just been fiddling around with. What is the full path and file name for the after mentioned application stores rules? Etsy audit rules D, audit.rules. Okay. Task number 10, we're talking about the Wazuh API. Using our own client, the Wazuh Management Server features a rich and extensive API to allow Wazuh Management Server to be interacted with using the command line. Because the Wazuh Management Server requires authentication, we must first authenticate our client. This basically just explains how to do that if you were to use your own client. Okay, it's going to be using curl since it's a Linux box. And it says first you need to authenticate ourselves by providing a valid set of credentials. All right, you're going to do that with this process here. All right, you're going to be getting this particular bearer token and things of that nature in order to do that. This, I assume we would just read through here, okay? So once authenticated, the Wazuh management server will give us a token similar to a session that we'll need to provide for the interaction. We can store this token as an environment variable on our Linux machine, like the snippet below, and they just give you instructions on how to do that here. Let's confirm with authenticated, okay, and I've been given a token by the Wazuh management server. And this is Wazuh API verification, authentication. Okay. We can use these standard HTTP requests or methods such as get, post, put, delete by providing the relevant option after a -x. Example will be -x get, and then they're using curl for this as well. You can see that here. For example, let's use the Wazuh API to list some statistics and important information about the Wazuh management server, including what services are being monitored and some general settings about the Wazuh management server. So if you were to do that, you can do it this way here. So basically, they're just kind of querying this via the API to get some particular information out of the system. All right, so that's pretty much straightforward there. Get information about the Wazuh manager. So they query the API, and then this is the result they got back here. Or perhaps we can use Wazuh Management Service API to interact with an agent, and that's how you do that here. So using Wazuh Management Service API to interact with an agent. Okay, interesting. Using Wazuh's API console, Wazuh has a powerful integrated API console within the Wazuh website to query management service and agents. Whilst it's not extensive as using your own environment, where you can create run scripts using Python, for example, it is convenient. To find in the API console, we need to open the tools category within Wazuh, heading at the top here. So I guess we can jump over there and take a look and see here, tools, API console, and there we go there. All right, role set tests. Okay, let's flip back over. You will be greeted with a few sample queries that you can run. Simply select the line, press the green run to run the queries demonstrated. Okay. A reminder: the syntax for running queries: use the same web methods to get, post, put, endpoints, manager info as you would with use with curl. You can view some more options about API endpoints by following Wazuh's detailed API documentation here. So check that out if you're interested. Got some questions here. What is the name of the standard Linux tool that we can use to make requests to the Wazuh management server? Well, we know we can do that with curl. What HTTP method would we use to retrieve information for a Wazuh management server API? If you want to retrieve it, you got to use that get request, right? Or get method. And what HTTP method will be used to perform an action on a Wazuh management server, perform an action? I'm assuming they're looking for put here. Navigate to the Wazuh API console. Okay, we already did that. Use the API console to find the server version. You will need to use the or add the v prefix to the number for this question. For example, v blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. So we'll put v there, and then let's flip back over here, and let's see. I wonder if this will tell us here. So we need to find the version of this, and then we have it right there, 4.2.5. Should be an answer there. So 4.2.5. Okay. Task 11, generating reports with Wazuh. So let's see what they're talking about here. Wazuh features a reporting module that allows you to view a summarized breakdown of events that have occurred on an agent. First, we will need to select a view to generate reports from. In this example, I want to generate a report of the security events in the last 24 hours. To do so, I will need to open the view one. I mean, we can try it and see, but we tried this earlier and then it didn't work because security events wasn't working, right? So I doubt we'll see any information in there. Even through that error again, yeah. Um, let's see. If we go to events and let's see if we just change the time again. Absolute. So let's go back to, was it March? And then 2022. And we'll just leave it at now. Update. Yeah, nothing. All right, whatever. So let's see here. If you want to generate a report, this is how we would do it. Now, if there have been events in the last 24 hours, you can generate a report like so. Hit generate report, pretty straightforward there. If this button is grayed out, there's no report data, so we either need to change your query or to extend the date range, and it's probably grayed out. So there was nothing there earlier. So we go to dashboard. Yeah, it's grayed out. The report may take between a couple of seconds to a few minutes to generate. After allowing some time, we will navigate to the report overview dashboard within Wazuh. First, press on the Wazuh heading at the top, select management, and then click reporting. Text located under the status and reports subheading. Okay, so management reporting, pretty straightforward there. Let's see here, management reporting. So if we were to generate a report, it would be in here. Okay, the report overview dashboard lists all generated reports. Download report, press the save icon on the right of the report under actions heading, which will download the report as a PDF to your machine. A generated security event report will look like this here. It's pretty nice to know there, yes. Under Wazuh's report feature, generate report of the agent, which we can't do, but we'll just continue on past it. Okay, we already did that. Look at the dashboard. Analyze report. What is the name of the agent that has generated the most alerts? Well, we won't know that, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be, there's only two in here, right? So if we go back and take a look at that, or is that was under agents? So there's only two in here. So maybe let's try agent dash 001. All right, lucky guess there. Task number 12, loading sample data. The Wazuh management server comes with sample data bundled with the installation that can be loaded at your convenience. I have not enabled this by default to improve the performance of the server. However, if you wish to import much more data to showcase the extensibility of Wazuh, further follow the steps below, navigate to the module to load the sample data. So Wazuh, settings, and then select sample data, then add the button. So I guess we can just follow along. I don't have any data to load in here. So Wazuh, settings, sample data. Let me close this menu there. Okay, there we go. That's interesting to know, I guess. Note that this may take up to a minute for each. Refer to the animated picture below. For an example, the data will have successfully imported when the button on the card says remove data. So it will look something like this, I guess, after you import it. Return to Wazuh's dashboard to see the newly imported data. For example, now we can see that security events module has a ton more data for us to explore. Please note you may need to play with the data range or the date range. The absolute minimum required to show the sample data is last 7 days plus, and refresh the dashboard to apply this. Okay. I've imported sample data. I played around with sample data. I mean, let's see if there's even any in there. Um, let's see. So we can click all of them and okay. Well, it actually worked. Oh wow, I'm shocked honestly. But okay, let's go back to what they were talking about here. Security events. So we need to go back to that module security events, and it said 7 days, right? Now we got stuff in here. Okay, awesome. So we have all kinds of stuff in here. So this is what it should look like when you have actual data working. Um, so we're done with this. I've imported sample data, played around with the sample data. Um, let's see. Let's go back a step here and we can do generate report now. So let's go and do that since it wasn't working earlier. Generate report. Okay, cool. So let's go and just follow along here since we didn't get to do it earlier. Reporting. And then there it is. Nice. So this is what it would look like, right? If we had stuff in there earlier. Let me get this out of the way. Pretty neat. Okay, nice. All right, so that's pretty neat there. And I wonder if we can answer the question we didn't see an answer for earlier, which was this one. What was it? Okay, probably not. This is asked for how many events were in there. So if you go back to that location, module, security events, maybe, let's see, events, and add filter. What was it called? I think it's agent ID, right? Agent ID is 001. Okay, refresh. No, it's still in. Still says 33,000 in here. Let's see. Let's see what this says now. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay, well that is unfortunate. Let me go back. I guess we can try it here too. Agent ID. Oh, so it changed a little bit. Let's see here. Let's just copy and paste this over. Maybe we need the whole thing in here. Edit filter. Cancel that. Let's just get rid of it. And let's try this. Agent name. Oh, okay. I guess you can't type it in, can you? Yeah, you can. Okay. So I wonder if it has, I think it has to be all lowercase, right? Yeah, let's try this. Yeah, no result. Okay, well, we tried. I wonder if we can just edit this. No, we can't edit that. All right, whatever. So I guess I just look up what this is because obviously it wasn't working for us. But anyway, that wraps up this video with Wazuh. Hopefully you found this valuable. I know we ran into some issues with it, but we still made our way through this particular room. Hopefully TryHackMe will fix the issues with this room here. Hopefully y'all didn't run into any issues. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell while you're at it. As always, thank you all for your continued support. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.